All right, so this is a speaker meeting. Our speaker will share her experience, strength, and hope for approximately 45 minutes. We ask that out of respect for our speaker, everyone remain seated until our speaker has finished. It is my pleasure to introduce Lucy as our speaker.
I'm Lucy and I'm an alcoholic. And welcome to the visitors and to the newcomers. I hope you hear something tonight or keep coming back and find hope, because there is hope here and your life can change. And happy birthday on 1 year. That's a big deal. Thank you, John, for asking me. I only found out I was going to be speaking a few hours ago. And so I'm totally just here. And I said, no, I don't want to talk when he called me. And then I said, well, you know, maybe I ought to try trusting God, and maybe I'm supposed to be here tonight. Because I've been having my own little struggles the last few months. And guess what? It was Alcoholics Anonymous, and particularly a few friends who were there for me that helped me to get through some struggles. And it's not about the drinking per se for me at this time in my life, but it could lead to that if I don't take care of it. And so I'm really grateful and happy to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that I am sober and that I'm in recovery. And my recovery and sober date is October 31st, 2006. And I have not had to pick up a drink or anything else to change my brain. And I'm really grateful for that, because I know this, that no matter what, if I picked up that drink, everything, no matter what's going on, is going to get like 10 times worse. And you know, today, part of the reason I didn't want to do it is got up very early and went to Sedona, and I had this most beautiful, amazing 9-mile hike. And I used to be a major hiker, but I haven't hiked for several months and not that long, and my body was feeling it. But then my daughter called me when I got off the trail and said, you want to go get a massage? So we went and got a massage. So I'm here, and I'm just going to share as much as I can just from my heart. You know, before I was coming over, I was thinking about a few things in the big book that jump out at me and have touched me through my years of recovery. But I'll identify a little bit. Another reason I don't always like to speak is I think I have this really story that maybe you won't relate to. But then I was thinking about that. And it doesn't really matter about our stories so much. It's what's inside. And I can tell you that my very first drink, I was 17, I was in Europe, and I had a blackout. I drank, and I was in a bar, and I broke the glass. I left my girlfriend's. Only thing I remember is crossing this raging river over this bridge, and then I locked them out of the room. They couldn't get in the room till the next morning. You know, and that maybe should have been a clue, but all I thought is that, you know, I just drank. And then I didn't drink again until a few years later when I met the man I married and was my husband. But I come from a really big family, and my family really likes to drink. And we really like St. Patrick's Day because we're Irish. And I was never going to drink because I watched my family, and it always seemed that when there was alcohol around, there were problems. I had 7 brothers and I had 6 sisters. And so there were lots of us, and I had lots of cousins, and my mom and dad liked to entertain and have parties, and they loved life. They really loved life. I don't know if my parents were alcoholics. I don't think they were, but there's alcoholism in my family. I never call anyone an alcoholic unless they say it. 4 of my siblings have said they are, so I know at least 4 others are alcoholic. And what I found out is that even though I never wanted to drink, when I started drinking, I really liked it. I really felt good when I was drinking. And even those times when I was over in Europe, I drank 2 or 3 times when I was over there. I was with, high school choir and, and it was so much fun. I sometimes just think about that time, and it was really beautiful. And I know that when I started drinking, right away, we had a 6-pack, and I drank 4 and he drank 2. I don't know why, but that's just the way it worked out. And I always drank more than he did. And I always drank a lot once I started putting it into my body. I had a short period of time where I didn't drink at all. I didn't have a program. I'm really grateful that I wasn't drinking. I was raising children, and one day I woke up and I go, maybe I shouldn't be drinking and doing these other things while I'm raising 3 children. And so I just quit drinking. And I was able to do it, but guess what? I still had, any of you that have worked these steps or know anything about it, there's a thing that's kind of the ism-y thing. It's like the drink goes away, but all these other things stay here. And when I talk about the inside, what I came in here, I was told, don't look for the differences, look for the similarities. And so I remember sitting in the room, and there were a lot of men at that time. There were like 4 women in there. And one of the men I had met, and he had told me, you need to go pick one of those ladies to be your sponsor. And so I picked one, and she was my sponsor for a little bit, and then she couldn't, and then another one became my sponsor, and she's been my sponsor for my whole sobriety, and that's really a gift. And I began to do the things that she told me to do, and when they told me, like I'm sitting here with these men, and they lived on the street. Hi, Zoom people. They were sitting on the street, they had lived on the street, and they had these stories that I could not really relate to. Because for me, I thought I was doing really good. I didn't have that period of time of drinking, and then I came back and I started drinking, got divorced, and my life was kind of falling apart. And then I met somebody else, and then we got married, and we had this wonderful, fun time until the drinking progressed and began to destroy my life. But still, I never lived on the street. I had a job. I worked at a job for 31 years. I always showed up, well, most of the time. I didn't show up, though, as some of you may understand, really mentally and present for the job. And it took me a while to understand that. And I usually talk so much about the steps because that's what really is what helped change my life, along with many other things. But doing those steps and doing what this woman, my sponsor, told me to do was so important. I couldn't believe how important it was to do what she said to do. And she loved me, and she just accepted me as I went through. But what happened is I was at a big book study, and we did a 4-step. Well, we like somebody else was writing for you. It was really cool. Like somebody else was writing it out for you. And I had this awareness. It was on my boss. And I, of course, thought she was just the worst person in the world. And all of a sudden, I had a realization, oh my word, I had a part in it all. And I'm not kidding you. It was that profound, and it changed my life. And in that moment, that's when I really began to understand that if I do what they're telling me to do, maybe things will be different in my life. And they were, and they began to be different. And I try. There's some people in here like to make suggestions to me, and then when I don't take them, they encourage other things to happen so that they happen. But it's all good because this is what has saved my life and gave me back my life. I had a pretty good life. I still have a pretty good life. I don't have everything that I would like to have or want to have, but I have everything that I need. And the most important thing that I have come to find out is that we have this WE program. It says, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and our lives had become unmanageable. That WE has become very important to me many different times throughout my sobriety, and particularly in the last couple months, and that's actually why I showed up tonight. Because just maybe one person, it doesn't matter, maybe one person will hear something and their life will change, And because what I found when I was looking for those similarities is that you guys were afraid. And I had so much fear that I walked around with fear all the time. I had all these siblings, 13 siblings. I was highly sensitive. I was always told I was too emotional. I was too sensitive. I was too, I was never okay. I was not really felt like I was accepted. And then I didn't drink. And so then that really made me an oddball. And then when I finally did drink, I'll never forget, my sister and my brother said to me, "You're finally one of us. You're finally a McGuire." I'm whoa, wow, that's what I had to do to be accepted. And, and I love my family. I'm very close to my family. And, but there's a lot of dysfunction, as there are. I don't know if anybody's got a non-dysfunctional family. I'd like to meet you, because I don't believe there is one, because everybody's got a little bit of twisted something. But, I got my life back. So I began to work these steps and to do the program. And today when I was hiking, I had this realization, because before my drinking took me down to my knees, the man I married, he was a big hiker, and we did the Grand Canyon like all the time. I carried 40 pounds on my back. I was strong. I hiked in the canyon, in and out of the canyon, in and out of the canyon. At the end of my drinking, I could barely walk across the parking lot to go to my I always did PE classes where I worked. I could not walk across the campus. I mean, I was a mess. I was a mess. That's all I can tell you, is I was a mess. And so I know what alcohol can do to you, and I know what it can do to me, and that's why I know I never, ever want to pick up that drink again. So that's why I'm willing to keep coming back here. And today, though, when I was on that hike, I thought, I haven't been hiking, partly because I've just been in kind of a funk. I just can't. I haven't been able to get out of this funk. I don't feel like I feel the things I felt before. I don't fit in. I don't fit in here. I don't belong here. I'm not like them. I'm not this. I'm not that. Because I want to somehow be different and unique and be okay. But I know that I belong here, and I know that I'm like you. I might not look like you sometimes, and I might not have the same story that you have, but inside that fear was there, that loneliness, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not lovable. I don't know if any of you relate to that, but those were some of the things that I had in my life when I looked at those, when I get down there in 6 and 7 and looking at some of those things, and when I listed all my fears. And it also says that more will be revealed. And I believe that it's always a lifelong journey. My parents had a long life. My mother lived to 89, my father lived to 103. And I watched them live their life, and they really, truly loved life. Like my dad would have one scotch, but he wouldn't drink the whole bottle. They'd have a glass of wine, but they wouldn't drink 2 bottles like I did. I mean, I can remember I would go, okay, I'm only going to drink 1 bottle of wine tonight. I'd buy 1 bottle, and then I'd get in the car, and I'd go drive by the 2nd bottle. So I didn't do that a lot, because I didn't like getting in the car driving, because I drove really close to the edge of the road. And, I only got stopped once and should have had a ticket, but I never did get a ticket. And I never went to jail. I never had those things. But that's another thing I heard. They go, okay, these are the yets. And I go, what the heck are yets? And yets are the things that haven't happened because maybe I didn't drink enough. But if I went back out there, I don't know. I don't want to find out if I could maybe harm myself, harm someone else, kill someone, do something really stupid. My daughter told me I would not have my grandchildren if I kept drinking. Didn't stop me from drinking, and I love those grandbabies. And now that my granddaughter is 18, and they were all at my house last night. We did birthdays, and another gift is that we actually had real conversation last night. There was it was hard. There was some hard stuff going on. I have teenage grandchildren, and there's things going on that, quite frankly, are scary, because there's some of the things I've heard some of you say you've done, some of the things that I've done, and I'm powerless over really making it be different other than just keep showing up. My granddaughter said to me, now, Grandma, don't start telling me all about AA and everything about AA. I said, I'm not telling you nothing about AA. If you want to know, you know where I am. And so, they know I've never really ever pushed it, but nobody really asked, with that big of a family, there's maybe 3 people in my whole family that have ever asked me anything about my story. And sometimes I feel sad about that because I want to help and share. But, I know that sometimes it's hardest with, our family. So just keep loving them, keep showing them up. showing them up. Show up. Don't show them up. But, you know, I wanted to read this one thing here. It's because as I was saying, I thought about what lines really jumped out at me, and there were 3 of them, and this is one of them. It says, many pursue our drinking or whatever it is we're doing to destroy our lives, into the gates of insanity or death. We learned that we had to fully concede, and that was read by Nate over here. I think it was you that read this. You read the steps, didn't you? Yeah, because it's in the steps. To our innermost selves that we were alcoholics. This is the first step in recovery. The delusion that we are like other people or presently may be has to be smashed. Now here I am, I have a little bit of time, and I still have the delusion that maybe, not that I can go drink, but maybe I'm not really all that alcoholic or that, you know, sick, or maybe I'm just, well, I don't really like to think of it that we're sick still. I like to think that we've recovered, but what happens is that we have, I believe, we have this mental, physical, spiritual thing that happens to us, and that, for me, it's a lot is the mental, because like I just get in my head, and I can run a story, and I can figure out what's going on with all of you, and it's all in my head. It's just in my head. It's not even real. And that was one of the things last night we were talking, and one of my family members was sharing some really, really, really sensitive stuff and deep stuff. And I just realized that that's what we get to do in here all the time, like with each other. There's people that will help you. There's people that if you call them when you're depressed or sad or lonely, and they'll talk to you, and you don't even have to pay them $150 an hour. Because I paid a lot of people $150 an hour to help me get fixed, because I probably could be a therapist for all the therapy hours I've had in my lifetime. Because long before I came to AA, I read every self-help book, I went to therapy, I did church, and I did all those things because I do want to be a good person, and I came from a really good family that showed me how to help other people. I saw faith in action. I mean, there's all these kids, and my mom would let other people come live with us because they'd get kicked out of their house. Somebody'd show up at the dinner table, and she'd always pull up another. I don't know how. Only once ever did I ever see us run out of food. But I never saw us run out of food. I don't know how that happened. Maybe it was like, you know, there's some stories about loaves and fishes. Maybe that's it. I don't know. All I know is that they just had a lot of love, and they gave it away. They just loved people, because they always told me, the more you give, the more you'll get. And that's true in Alcoholics Anonymous, because the more you're willing to give to another person, the more you're going to have. And plus, once you give it away, then it's yours. Because like teaching, they always say that if you want to learn something to teach somebody, we aren't necessarily teaching in here, but when we share our experience, strength, and hope with another person, that's in a way teaching, you know, because we're helping somebody else. And I think that that's so important to remember, is like, there's always somebody that needs us. You know, I know that I don't like you to know that I need you. I want you to think that I'm all strong and that I got it all together. But that isn't the way it really truly is. So anyway, another reason I'm glad that John asked me to be here, because it makes me have to look at myself. And whenever I look at myself, something happens, because I get out of that self-centered thing where I just want what I want. I don't want to have to help other people. I love to sponsor. I love to work with women and sponsor them and watch the lights come on. Because when a person begins to work the steps and they're willing to do something, like when I was willing to do what my sponsor told me to do, that's when my life began to change. I didn't want to do what she was going to tell me to do. I was raised to be pretty independent and strong and just do it, and that's kind of how I've always done things in my life. So to all of a sudden have to be taking, I mean, I work for people and I do take direction. I wasn't that pig-headed, but I can be pretty self-centered, and when when that was revealed to me, that was really a revelation because I'm like, no, I'm not. Look at everybody I help. But there's another program for that one. And so what I've learned is that it's when we do it without looking for anything in return. When I'm willing to, I've worked with sponsees and then they don't want to work with me anymore, or they think I'm doing something wrong or whatever. I used to get offended by that, but now I know that it's just everybody's going on their path the way they have to go on their path. And I really try to accept people right where they're at because we all need to be loved. And I have found love in these rooms. I have found love from the people in these rooms, from my sponsor. When I didn't want to share those things about myself that I thought were so bad, and then she shared some of hers, and mine kind of paled in comparison. But the truth is that she has loved me all the way through this path. Like I can call her up and talk to her, and she's just right there for me. And I have women that I'm able to do that for too, and I'm really grateful for that. And I don't ever want to short on these steps because those first three to me are like your foundation. So I just read you what the first step is. You have to concede to your innermost selves. Now, what the heck does that mean? Selves? We have more than one self inside of us? I think that sounds a little confusing, but when I think about it, I have a spirit, I have a soul, I have a body, I have this mind, I have all these things, I have all these thoughts, all this stuff going on. I have to know deep down inside of me. And somehow that morning when I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, that's what I did. I didn't know that's what I did, but that's what I did. I got up and I called in sick to work and I went to a meeting. And I will tell you that there were 3 people that put their hand out to me that day. And I will never forget those 3 people. I remember their names. I can see their faces. One moved away shortly after I got sober, and the other 2 have passed away. But I will say that they saved my life because I was scared. I didn't know if I was in the right place. I didn't know what it meant to be an alcoholic, although I had said it many, many times. I would tell my husband, yes, I'm an alcoholic, and I would dump all the wine, and then I'd get some more. Well, my alcoholism destroyed that relationship. I drank that away. He left me, and he couldn't be with me, and I'm like, and of course I'm angry at him, and I quit drinking for 5 days, and I said, I'll show him. It took me a year and 10 months after that before I actually walked into these rooms. And, so that's your foundation. So build your foundation because, if you build a house, you need a strong foundation. So if you build that foundation really strong, then you can grow and you can keep on going. And that's about, surrendering and letting go and finding a power greater than yourself. I mean, I could stand up here and talk to you about that all night because that happens to be my favorite topic. I won't do that, or I'll try not to do that. But what I would encourage you to do, in our reading it says, something about God, and may you find him now. And I always think that. I hope that people will find God or their higher power or this group or whatever it is so that you can keep coming back, because I can't do it all by myself. I need you. I need God or higher power. I need to take time to be reflective. I need to take time to help you. And I need to go play. There's a rule 62, some of you may know that, and it's like, don't take yourself too damn serious. And if you read the 12 and 12, there's a little story in there that will tell you how that came to be. But I have to write that sometimes and put it in my car because I tend to take things real serious. Because I like to have fun and I like to play, but I have this serious thing because I think it's like going back, like childhood and all that stuff. Like I kind of held all my family's stuff. I took everybody's feelings and I held them for them so nobody else had to feel. No one else cried in my family. I was the only one that would cry. They even took pictures of me stamping my feet when I was a little girl crying. And I was always so mad at them for that. But now I am not mad at them anymore because really everybody just does the best they can where they are. I don't think that most of us, there might be some intentionally, but I don't think most of us want to cause harm. You know, some of us might have parents that did things that were caused more harm, but I don't think anybody intentionally did. I know that I caused harm to my own children. I raised 3 children, and I've made my amends, and I look at them sometimes and I go, you know, some of what happens in their life, I am responsible for. But guess what? Because I did work those steps, I don't walk around with a bunch of shame anymore. And I used to have a lot of shame about what I had done. And then when you get into 4 and 5 and you do that inventory, it's a moral inventory, and you get really honest, like I told you when I was doing that first one that changed my life. And I do them occasionally. I'm not one that does a formal thing all the time, but I walk with friends sometimes and we'll talk, and I can, you know, I know the things and we walk through it. But there are sometimes I do have to still put pen to paper, even though I don't want to, and get it out and talk to my sponsor or to another friend that will help me process it. Because that's when I think we get to like, I think like, for me, what it was like is like cleans my heart out, cleans my soul. It helps me to be free. My sponsor would say to me, do you want relief or do you want freedom? And I said, well, I want relief. You know, I want freedom too. But really what I now understand is I want freedom, because relief might be temporary, and it's good to have some relief. But when I have the freedom that I don't have to worry that, what did I do last night, you know? Like we got some heated things, and some people were going to storm out, but we've gathered everybody back together, and we were able to walk through that. If we'd all been drinking, which would have been most happening in my family, I don't think that would happen. I think that's why I used to see my brothers fight. Like my mom and dad would leave town, and there'd be fights, and there'd always be blood, and there'd be knives, and there'd be puke, and there'd be, and then I had to clean it up, you know, because I was a little sister. But it scared me because I was a little girl, and there's all these drunks out there, and I saw harm. That doesn't mean it always happened that way, but I look in this room and I think, look at all of us. We're all so different, and we're not fighting. You know what? But if we were drinking, I bet you there'd be some fighting in here, because there's some of you that probably don't like each other too much, and you know, you gotta love everybody, but you don't like everybody, you know? So just keep loving, because I'm telling you, I want to sing songs like what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And because we're a hurting people. Everybody out there has some kind of pain inside of them. Then you come to that 6 and 7, and we get to look at, you know, our defects of character. Who wants to do that? Want to raise your hands? Anybody want to do that? I did not want to do that. And I didn't think I had any. I thought I was like, you know, I wouldn't say perfect, but pretty close to it. But then, you know, I found out that I did, you know, like finding out that I was self-centered, finding out that I was selfish, finding out that, yeah, sometimes I did some of those things because I was wanting them to do something back for me. And that doesn't mean I don't do that still today, because guess what? We're still in a human little body in here, and so we make mistakes. But if you can acknowledge that you make a mistake and move on, then you don't have to pick up the drink. I think it's when we don't acknowledge our mistakes, that's when we pick up the drink. That's when I think I will pick up the drink. Let me say that. Because when I call and I say, hey, I'm really, really sad and I don't know what to do, and somebody says, call me every day, that changes my life. That changes my life because it says, you're worthwhile, Lucy. And I don't always believe that. Because I want to be Mother Teresa or Gandhi or somebody real special and do something really, really big. But you know, when I moved to Arizona, my mother said to me, you're going to Arizona as a missionary. And I said, no, I'm not a missionary. My brother's a missionary. He was a missionary over in Hong Kong. And she says, no, a missionary is someone who just touches one person's life, one person at a time. Guess what, guys? That's what we do. So you're all missionaries. Then we go down here and we do that 8 and 9. Make a list. Oh my gosh, did anybody harm anybody out there while they were out there? I did. I harmed people, and I didn't really think that I was. Like, you know, my husband's, and, you know, my first husband was a Vietnam vet, so there's a lot of PTSD in my family, of my children and myself, because their PTSD comes onto you as well when you get to experience some of their stuff. Not fun. And so you make that list, and then you have to get willing to go, but please do these in order and do them with a sponsor, because that's the way they work the best. Because, you know, just going and saying I'm sorry to people without really understanding what harm you cause can maybe cause more harm. So I remember when I did my, you know, some of my amends, and, you know, I'm nervous and I'm not sure what to say, and I don't, one that I did with my husband, I got through the whole thing, and then he goes to me, he goes, well, I really did all this and this and this. Well, guess what? I found out that wasn't a good thing to do. It wasn't that it erased my amends, but what I realized later after I went back and talked to my sponsor is it kind of lessened it. So now, if I'm making an amends to somebody, I don't let them say I'm sorry or anything. I ask them that if they want to do that, we can do that at another time. But right now, this is so that I don't drink again. That's why I do these steps, is so that I don't drink. I help you so that I don't drink, you know? And when they told me it was a selfish program, I'm like, yeah, but you said that we're self-centered, and that doesn't make sense to me either. How can it be selfish? But you know what? During COVID, I understood that. I called my sponsor up and I go, oh, I get it. I get it. It's a selfish program. I had so many sponsees during the summer of 2020 because we had meetings in the park and there weren't very many women going there. And some people would give me my name to people. And I had a lot of sponsees, more than I've ever had. And, but what I found out is that kept me sober. Because without all of you guys, it was hard for me. I live alone. I didn't have anybody to be with. Those park meetings saved my life. Those women that allowed me to work with them saved my life. One I still keep in touch with, she moved away, and one I'm still working with that I got off of a Zoom meeting. And I'm telling you, she's like, it's like joy to me when I talk to her, because I know how much she helped me. I might have said some things that helped her, I don't know, but I know she helped me. And then 10, you know, we keep looking every day. We kind of take an inventory of our day. That's always a good thing. And you know, make things right. Be aware of what you did. But you know what I like to remember, guys? I don't know about you, but I like to beat myself up and look at all the bad things I do. But I'll bet you everybody in here did something really nice today. And I'd like you to remember that tonight when you go home. Remember that nice thing that you did, because we don't have to beat ourselves up anymore. If you're not drinking and you're not doing the stuff and you're not causing harm out there, you don't need to keep doing that. I don't know why we do it, but I've seen a lot of people do it, and I know I've done it a lot. Sought through prayer and meditation, you know, to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. So, you know, there's meditation meetings in our town, you know, that are really nice meetings to go to if you've never meditated. And really, I don't know about you, but the God that I have is like a friend. I just can have a conversation. I can say, hey, I don't know what's going on here. But then sometimes, you know, you still need the people, because I see God in you guys. But God is still there. And you have to, and for me, I have to surrender. Like coming here tonight, not prepared, that is not a comfortable thing for me to do, because I want to be prepared. And I wasn't even a Girl Scout. But all I know is that when I surrender to that power greater than myself, I'm telling you, that night at 2 o'clock, somehow that had to be what it was. I mean, I don't remember directly saying, God, you know, or higher power or something, help me to not drink. I didn't say that. But something, when I woke up, I knew that I knew. What was that? I can't explain it to you. I can't explain it to you. So that's why I'm just going to say it's something way bigger than me. And then, of course, 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. So that's where we carry the message and we take it to others and we help others. And I'm just telling you, if you read on the top of page 89, it says, something about, the fellowship will grow up among you and you won't want to miss that. And for me, the experience has been is that I've helped other people, and when I help other people, all of a sudden, those things that were making me feel really not so happy or like I think I can't do it or whatever, they kind of fall away. And then I have friends in here, and I have people that love me and people that care about me. And when I look out across the room, I know some of you. I've seen a lot of you. And there's 4 ladies I can see in one row in particular that I know pretty well. And I look at them, and there's something in my heart like swells up. Because you know what? We're helping each other so that we don't have to go back out there and fall down and destroy our lives. Because if you're on this earth, you're on this earth for a reason. I don't know what the reason is, but our book says that our primary purpose is to stay sober and help another alcoholic. And if I know that sometimes that right there keeps me going. When all else fails, I can think about that, and that keeps me going. I have many other blessings in my life. I have beautiful family. I have things that I love to do. But I'm telling you, I love Alcoholics Anonymous because it saved my life. And I do want to read you these 2 other ones. I probably still have time, but I might stop. I want to read you. I was going to bring my big book, but I just did it on here. We're going to have that spiritual awakening right there, And this was read to us too because it's just part of our. Or I already read you this, didn't I? About spiritual perfection. Did I read you that? No, I didn't. Sorry. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. Guess what? You're probably going to get discouraged sometimes. I do. But you don't have to stay there. That's the difference. I don't stay in the bottom of the pit anymore. I don't keep digging the hole. I come up out of the hole a lot faster. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. That's what one of those guys that when I first got sober, he used to say that to me, and I would go, but I'm a saint because there's Saint Lucy. But I didn't know it was in the big book because, look out, because everybody's saying stuff to you, but it's probably in the big book. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. So guess what? You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be spiritually perfect. Just keep seeking, because I think that's where you find your higher powers, when you're seeking. If you just keep seeking, because he's out there, or she's out there. And then this last one I want to read to you is a big thing, because we will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. And so it doesn't matter what you've done. If you think it's the worst thing in the world, it doesn't really matter, because it will be used for good if you're willing to share it with another. Because I've had so many women sit down with me, and they will share things with me, and it may not be exactly what I've gone through, but I've had divorce, so when a woman sits with me with divorce, I can identify with that. I can help her with that. I can let her know that she's not alone with that. Even if you haven't been married, but you've had breakups. Breakups are hard. They hurt the heart, and you have to work through all of that. And I don't want to have to do that alone anymore, or go pay somebody $150 an hour so I can tell them about that. And so I am really, really grateful to be here. And again, when I look out at you, I hope that you will hug somebody tonight before you leave. And if you don't have phone numbers, I hope you'll find somebody and get a phone number. And if you don't have a sponsor, I know I'm preaching now, get a sponsor. Because, what's that?
It's lack on sponsorship, you know, I mean, I'm getting there.
Okay. Get a sponsor because they will help you if you're willing to take direction.
I'm very picky, so I'm
Yeah.
picking the right one.
Yeah, I would do that too. I'd be very picky. But you know what? Just keep showing up and be willing to talk to other people. So give somebody a hug. Tell them you love them. I love you all. God loves you. Keep coming back.